the first 6 seals. Now we can label this time of sorrow, or we can label it tribulation, time of trying. You be the judge as to how you want to label it, but I think you're going to see that they talk basically the same way. This will take you through the first 6 seals. They are happening now. Time is not placed on this, only seasons. And it has no time placed on it as I see it. Nothing on earth happening that cannot fall under this. The white horse. Jesus, the Lamb, breaks the first seal on the scroll, at which point one of the 4 creatures shouting an invitation to come. This invitation is not directed to John, but to the white horse and the first horseman. This horseman holds a bow, and a crown is given. As in Revelation 2:10, this is a crown of victory rather than royalty. The implication, of course, is that this horseman will find victory in his efforts. This horse and rider serves the purpose of conquering. The idea here is simple. The first judgment that must come to humanity before the final consummation of the age is that of military conquering. We see that right now, especially in Syria, Russia, China. Now, of all, Cuba wants to join in on it too. So let's see where we go. There are 3 popular views as to who will conquer or be conquered. The horse represents Christ and the gospel in the world. Now this is a view. This horse represents the Antichrist. The horse represents the spirit of conquest or military figures. White horse. That's the one I'm going to go with, the one of military conquering. The red horse, the power to remove the peace that is on earth, is granted to this horseman on the red horse. Since God is sovereign over all things, it is He who grants the permission. The imagery here is not that this horseman does the butchering, but that he just removes peace. And without that peace, humans butcher one another. We see this in the Middle East. The great sword is the image of the machines of war being unleashed on the earth, acted out by people left to their own device without any divine intervention. The black horse, a quart of wheat was what one person needed in a day. According to the prices called out in verse 6, a person would work all day to simply get the grain that he or she needed. If there was one income for a family, the problem was obvious. In addition, barley was used by the poor to mix with their wheat to make it go further. According to the information given in verse 6, the market prices are well beyond what anyone could afford. The pale horse, ashen green. Prayer and persecution. This horseman is not holding a weapon of any kind, but his name is death. He is followed by Hades, the place of departed spirits. As with the third horseman, permission is given for the destruction to take place involving 25% of the earth. Now that don't say 25% is going to be destroyed. It just says 25% of the earth is going to be involved in the destruction that's taking place. The destruction will come by a variety of means. 6, 9, and 11. The fifth seal involves the prayers of the particular group of people, the persecuted. The fifth seal, John simply notices the souls who have been violently killed for their faith. The cosmic disturbance. There are two parts to the disturbance of the sixth seal. First, the cosmic light show, and second, the response of the people. The sun goes away. The natural fallout will be that the light given from the moon will also cease to exist. Since it merely reflects the sun's light, John records that the moon looks like blood. The idea is that there is a covering of the moon to such a degree that it will give no light. Instead, there will be darkness, and the moon will look as if it had been covered in blood. Remember that blood is maroon in color when in large quantities. So this describes a darkening of the moon more than a reddening of it. What we just had the finish of the four-blood moon tetrad. Blood symbolizes death, and sackcloth represents the mourning that comes along with it. They are two ways in which the word stars can be translated in verse 13. It could mean the actual stars in the sky falling, but it more likely refers to meteors falling from the sky to the earth. This we see quite often. We hear sounds that could be the earth moaning and groaning. You know, these sounds have been reported many times now in the news, some sounding like trumpets, some sounding like sounds they just can't figure out what it means. But they're coming and they're happening. While some have interpreted the result of the falling stars as a violent effect, like an earthquake, we sometimes may call this shooting stars. The illustration John actually gives is of ripe figs that easily fall when the wind shakes their limbs. This paints the picture of the sky opening up so that the atmosphere, the blue canopy that is over the earth, will split open and form a hole. The verse 15 indicates that these events will affect everyone on earth and cause widespread panic. Verse 16 reveals the hopelessness of the situation. It is clear that no person has control of his or her own fate. Each is at the mercy of the powerful sovereignty of heaven and earth. All above is what is taking place now. Man against man. Peace has surely left the Middle East and the world. A particular group of people, the persecuted, not just Christians, but people in general. Up to now, this has been man and nature doing destruction on the earth. Not only death to mankind, this includes kids, killing in schools, and mass killings everywhere. This is evil, man killing people on earth. By any means, death can occur, mixed with nature, sickness, disease caused by viruses and plagues. Now let me say something right here just a second. These first 6 seals involve man and nature. They do not involve punishment poured out by the angels. That will not occur until the 7th seal has been opened, which in turn is the first trumpet. So let's keep that in mind. These 4 horses and these 6 seals simply involve man and nature. We see many of dying fish washing up on seashores, many animals found dead in fields, big flocks of birds just drop out of the sky. We've seen that many times right now in the news in the past year or so. By nature, floods, storms, earthquakes. Some may say this is the beginning of sorrow, for we have had a lot of that. Some call it global warming. You know, even Christ called this at one time in Matthew 24. This is the beginning of sorrow. But we don't honestly know for sure when the actual beginning of sorrow started. Now, I'm not saying that we are under the tribulation period at this time. I do believe that we are still under the time of sorrow. By nature, floods, storms, earthquakes, and as some call it global warming, but it's global evil done by man and nature without divine intervention. God allowing evil to run wild at the hands of man and acts of nature. However, it will lead into tribulation, time of trying. We see our government bringing one world order. They never stop to think they will have to live under it too. They think only the world's going to live under it. They can go do whatever they want. They fix them to get a rude awakening. They see money, power for them, but will not last. They will lose the same as everyone else. Evil will be everywhere. Evil destroying evil. You know, that's God's plan. Evil is going to destroy evil. You follow on through the tribulation time, you know, the trumpet judgments, the seals, not the seals, but the signs, and then when we get into the bowl judgment, you're going to see where God takes over. The angels will take over when the first trumpet sounds. That goes with the angels. Right now we're still under man and nature. The UN is just as bad as any government. There is no time frame placed as I see it. Time of sorrow only grows worse. Now other things will occur during this process. Now the seventh seal is put on hold, but not the process. That will go on till the seventh trumpet, the signs of the heavens, and the seven-bowl judgment. Some of these will occur together according to God's will. The difference between the seventh seal and the former seals is who is implicating the punishment. During chapter 6 and 7, humans and nature are having their way, soon to change. During this vision of the trumpets, it is the angels who have been given the role of executing the judgment of God on earth. I don't believe the seventh seal has been opened at this time because of what happens next with the first trumpet and the opening of the seventh seal. Before I continue now, I want to say this. You know, our monetary system, the one world order, and the economy, that all comes under man and what man is doing to it. Now, I read this morning that there will be no raises for Social Security in 2016, but there will be a raise for Obamacare. I wouldn't be a bit surprised as to what all the politicians don't claim their increase. But you know, people, I want to say this. I don't care what comes upon this world. Any politician that thinks he is in a hole under the White House or wherever he may be, in that big hole in the mountains out there where the nuclear system is set up, does them people not think that when the end comes, it comes to them too? How about these end-time preppers that wants to sell buckets of food that'll carry you through all of these hard times? Do they not realize that God is talking to them too? That when end of time comes, the end of time is up. It gets everybody. I don't care who it is. I don't care where you're at. When God says time is up, He means it. And it ain't going to just take me and you and a handful of Christian people. We're not only going to have our heads chopped off, probably humiliated and tormented and all of this other. This is coming to the politicians also. I just want you to know you're not the only one that's going to suffer in all of this. Pain comes to everybody. God is no respecter of person. He has told us that many times. And when it comes to one, it comes to all. You know, it comes to the Christian because, see, we are still here. And as long as we are under all of this stuff when it comes, naturally, it's going to hit us. And Christ said, don't worry about the world hating you. It hated me first. And if it hated me and you stand for me, they're going to hate you too. So, see, it's coming. Don't give up. It's coming quicker than we think. I want to close on these scriptures here. Matthew 24, 42 and 44. Watch therefore ye, for ye know not what hour your Lord doeth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be taken up. Therefore be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. A lot of people are saying that now. Where is he at? Oh, this has been said long and long and long. Look around you. You'll see it. It's coming. Romans 13, 11 and 12. And that knowing that the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, and now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand, and let us therefore cease off the works of darkness, cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Corinthians 6 and 2. For he saith, I have heard thee in a time accepted, and in the days of salvation I have secured thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Tomorrow you cannot count on. We will stop here. May God richly bless you. So long until we meet again.